Well, here we go. I'm going to show you how, well, not all of it, but some of it, how I put in a whole air system. I got rid of 3 Pawfly air filters, the smaller ones. 2 were up there, and 1 more to go. And I took out all the old lines, so cleaned up a lot of clutter. And I put in this right there. That's a Danner air pump. It's a bigger air pump, covers the whole fish room. And I'll show you the whole thing, how I did it. Mostly, I'll at least show you how it looks, how it works, some of the stuff I used, and how I ended up drilling the PVC pipe and installing the little air valves. You get to see all of that. So anyway, stick around. This will be the pump I'm going to use. It's a Danner, and I got this on the recommendation from my buddy Jeff Pelham's Aquatics. I think it was at the end of a stream one day, we were talking about it, and so we were shopping for these things online. This is what he's got, and he really likes it. He's had it for a while now. That's the AP60, and I haven't read all the particulars yet, but this should more than do what I've got. And I'll need an adapter to get it from here to the PVC. Let me get this black rubber thing out of here. This comes with the pump, right? They give you this, and that'll go on here. Okay, and we need to get that. And what he used was this flexible, and it's reinforced. And frankly, I don't remember what aisle. My wife found it. We were at Home Depot, and she goes, "Oh, there it is." And that'll slide right onto here, and then a hose clamp there, and actually a hose clamp here too. And then the next step is to get it to the PVC, and this is a 1-inch inside diameter. It turns out that a 3/4 inch PVC male adapter fits perfectly. Let me show you one. All right, this is what a 3/4 inch male adapter looks like. So it'll accept 3/4 inch PVC pipe here, and that's what my whole system's built of. And this is 3/4 inch male pipe threads, all right? And it turns out the pipe threads slid right into here. Now I had tightened it down. I had to jerry rig a couple hose clamps together because I didn't have the right size. But now, because of that, now it'll just wiggle down in. Actually, that thread's in really nice and tight. But when I'm going to back it up with the hose clamps, just cause. So that, and I may end up cutting this down to some appropriate length. But remember, hose clamp here, right? Another hose clamp over this, and this goes here. It's a perfect fit. And then that'll connect up to the system. Here it is all set. I cut that much off to shorten this down a little bit. I figure I've got about 2 feet on that shelf up there. So it'll go something like this. I should put one of these in here. Yeah. So to connect, I need a short piece of pipe just to go in between. So it's about 2 inches. 3/4 inch fittings. The pipe will sit about 1 inch in on both of these, this male adapter and this elbow. And then this one doesn't need to run back very long, just to the wall. And then that'll catch the pipe coming down from the ceiling in this, another elbow. And that'll go up to the ceiling. And that's it, that's the connections. And I'll put this together, and if it happens to be off a little bit, as far as level goes, I can certainly loosen up one of those hose clamps and just twist it a little bit to get it level. And that's all there is to it. Now the pump I showed you is gonna go up on this shelf there where those 2 Pawflies are. And that shelf should be strong enough. It really doesn't weigh that much. And then it'll come down the cord and it'll plug directly into the receptacle there, okay? So it's not going to plug into that box or another extension. It'll just plug right into that. And then the flexible hose and the adapter, the air out is going to go across, and it's going to go up to that. It's going to go up to that 3/4 inch PVC there, and that goes this way, and it splits right there into a T. Let me move the ladder out the way here, and then let's follow this one down. All right, and it takes off in two directions. There's another T. All right, T's split directions. So part of it will go around this way, and it goes through that shelf, and it goes right under that shelf into another T. Let's back up a little bit. Now where it comes out of this T, there's 4 drops, and then there's 4 more there. I guess they should have been over a little bit, but what are you going to do? They're fine. And these will be, I wanted to have plenty. Excess is best. Anything worth doing is worth overdoing, right? What one will do, 3 will always do better. So they'll be for this tank, sponge filters and whatever else. And then these 4, brine shrimp hatchers, air stones, for a fish bowl here in the middle, maybe with cory eggs, something like that for hatching, whatever. Again, more than enough. And then those 4 in there will be for this tank, sponge filters, air stones, blah, blah, blah. And then I got 3 there, and they'll be for this little 5 and whatever else I can come up with. Okay, and then it goes around, turns the corner. There's 3 here for this 10, there's 3 for this 20, and 3 more for this 20, and it goes to that T. All right, now, remember we were at a T. And there's that T. Now let's go down. Follow that down, and it comes out and around. Nothing elegant about any of this. It's it's all PVC. Schedule 40. I glued it all together. A lot of people say you don't need to, but I did. It was a choice. And there's 3 there, and they'll be for this 40 here. Sponge filter, air stones, whatever. And 3 more in between, and I couldn't tell you why they're there. And then there's more under here for these 2 plastic tubs. And then I'm going to put 2 20 longs here, so there's more under here. Okay, and I got to put a light under here still. And then that goes down to that elbow, and it turns around, turns the corner, comes up behind the tank here in the metal cabinet to that T. And then from there it goes up to the ceiling again, and it goes around, and it goes over the garage door, comes out there to an elbow, and comes down. Let's go around. All right, so comes down to another T, and T split, remember. So that goes off across here, and that's going to pick up the 229 gallons on this side, and that little 5, it's 5.5 actually, and then the 229 gallons on the other side. So there's 4, a couple more in the middle. It's 2 for each side. I probably could have had a couple more in here, but 2 for each side. Again, 2 for each side. They're buried back in the pothos. Yeah, you can kind of see those. All right, and then a couple for that. And then that T, remember, drops down. This side's going to be inaccessible for a while. Goes down to that elbow, turns around, goes under the rack. Okay, and goes across here. And I think I don't remember, I'm on the wrong side, so I can't see, it's all lights. Let's go around. There we go. So what do we got? Still can't see. Oh, they're at this end. They're close to the back, which is cool. So there's 2 for each tank. All right. And then there's 2 more for that little 5.5 there, 2 on the end. And then it comes out here and comes up to the T where it picks up. Get my hand out of the way. To the T where it picks up from the other side where it comes out this way. And then it goes up. Let's back up a little bit. Goes up, goes across over there, right? And up to the ceiling. But right there's another T. And that comes down back here. And it comes down under here. And it's split. So this side's not on a loop. It's just a dead end. And this is over my 75-gallon tank. Alrighty. And it picks up this 8.5-gallon tank as well. Okay, so no way back out here. But anyway, this comes back up and around. It's that elbow. Comes out on the ceiling on this side. Back over to that T. And back to the pump, full circle. So air will come out here and just take off in two directions and fill the system. And hopefully there's not too much back pressure. One thing I have to do before I plug the pump in, I wasn't thinking when I did this, but so now I got to go back and make sure, and it would have been a lot easier then to open all these valves. So that way when I plug the pump in, I don't blow anything up or screw the pump up with too much back pressure. And then I'll go through and hook up, I'll probably do that before I turn the pump on, hook up all the sponge filters that I can, and there's a bunch of them around. And so make all my drops and then plug the pump in and then go around and close all the unused valves. And hopefully that'll be all right. And if I have to, I'll leave a couple valves open to let pressure out. Going to get hissing though. There's got to be a better way to do that. So I'm sure somebody will chime in. But anyway, that's kind of where this is. This has been long overdue. I can't remember when I bought that pump when Jeff and I were talking about it. It's got to be, it was back in the summer. It could have been June, July, somewhere back there. I meant to check. I got it from Amazon. I meant to check, and I'll put it in and let you know how long it is, how long it takes me. Projects like this, I just like to cogitate over for a while, and see. I don't know. Think about possibilities. And it took me a while, and I finally got what I wanted to do. And I wanted to build a loop that was going to be mostly, mostly entirely continuous. It didn't turn out to be entirely continuous because of the 75 over there with that dead end. Now I could have double looped back, come into one end and go out the other and tie it all. Yeah, it just didn't seem like it was worth it. And if I need to, that's the nice thing about PVC. It's a cut and paste project. PVC pipe cutter. And in this case, I'm using the cement. They're just a clear, it might be the medium body cement. And off I went. So like that. So yeah. And like that, I just said that, huh? I just said it again, oh my gosh. Now hopefully this will reduce a lot of the clutter too, because I got air lines everywhere. Look at this cluster, lines down there, and this spaghetti mess, and one line coming down to my snail box. So now all the valves are open. That was easy. That only took about 5 minutes to just go through and make sure they're all open. And if I missed one, whatever, should be good. And I was going to say something else. What was it? Valves are open, reduce clutter. It'll come to me and then I'll just edit it in. All right, it took a while because the two brain cells were on vacation. But now I remembered what that other thing was. The nice thing about a configuration like this, with the pump up by the ceiling and all the air down below is, guess what? You know what? No check valves are required. Unless the pump goes into reverse mode, I don't know, that would take what? For the electricity to reverse course and the poles to shift and everything else to go south, literally, for that to happen. So I don't need check valves. And I've got one in here, somewhere in this cluster, you know what? Because I had the brine shrimp thing and I didn't want any brine shrimp stuff to go back the other direction into the lines. But that was the only reason, because all my pumps have always been higher than everything else. I do have a couple in the house that are lower than the water line, and they do have check valves in them. So that's something to keep in mind. If you have a pump on a same table that an aquarium's on, or desk, or stand, or whatever, or the pump is actually below it, you want check valves on there. You do not want the tank to drain all over your floor, because that sucks. I've had tanks go south on the garage floor, that's one thing, but can you imagine that on your fancy hardwood or laminate or whatever else, the carpet? Yeah, you don't want that. So as you can probably see, most of my air lines were the black Aquarium Co-op stuff. And when it's been in the water for a while, it gets rock hard. And if it comes loose, you almost have to cut a whole bunch off to get it to reseat again. So I thought I'd give something else a try. So I found this silicone air tubing. I haven't opened it yet. I just got it a couple days ago from Amazon, and it's the paw fly. So what I'm going to do is start up there, right there. I'll hook up that sponge filter and shut the other two off. And I'll hook up this sponge filter, shut the other two off. I'll hook up that sponge filter, shut the other two off, and so on, and work my way around the fish room like that. It's one of the joys of having philodendron or pothos in your aquarium. Look at this sponge filter. It's all down in there. Let's see what happens. I obviously haven't cleaned this one in a while. It's even rooted into the air stone, or rooted around it. Now let's see if we can get the filter out. Yeah, look at all the roots down at the base. Gonna have to take this one all apart. Down the center. There's no way to get the center out. There it goes. Literally rooted through. Oh joy. Did this wrong. Well, there it is. It's up. And it's connected. And I guess I ought to plug it in just to see if it works, huh? So now, let's pull the protector off of this thing. Yeah. And plug her in, see what happens. There it is. It's running. I hear it. Now we just got to see if we can get air out of it. Everything's wide open, so it's going to be really hard to tell until I start putting drops together. So I think I will need to start doing that. So anyway, that's how far that's gotten. Pretty cool. It ain't pretty, but it works pretty well, I think. We'll see. Well, Eureka. It works. I was panicking. I was starting to hook up air lines. I started at this end, and I'm shutting ones off as I'm going, and there's nothing coming out. And this one's really gurgling here because there's not enough water in the tank and it doesn't go down any lower. So I can just adjust that down a little bit for right now, quiet it up a little bit. I've still got all the other air lines just hanging in the tanks, mostly. Now I just need to disconnect the paw flies and clean up that mess. But I was really starting to panic. There was nothing coming out. And I got all the way around to the other end and it's just barely trickling out when I came across here, shut everything down over there at the 75, except for that little 8.5 gallon at the end. And then got all these going. And then things started happening. I guess what I realized was the system just hadn't pressurized yet. So once it did, I mean, water just bubbling up and over. So I started turning these things down to get a flow that I wanted. Now, a bunch of these, the sponge filters, have been modified with an air stone inside. And I've got a video to show you how to do that. I think I got a couple of them actually. And if I remember, I will link them in the description on how to modify sponge filters. All right. And like I said, I've still got, and see, I was starting to panic here because there's no air coming out of this one. That's tied to the paw fly up top. But I still got air coming out of this one and all the others. So I will pull the plugs on the paw flies. There's one there. And you saw the other two yonder. So those are all done. So I will put those in backup now. And on my mom. And there's enough pressure, I might even figure out a way, I don't know if my wife would kill me, run something out to my 100-gallon livestock tub outside. I don't know if I need to. I don't know if I want to have water churning in the winter. Maybe the temperatures will stabilize more top to bottom because you get that, what's it called? That water gradient, the temperature gradient, thermocline, the temperature thermocline. Colder at the top, warmer at the bottom, even though it's surrounded by ambient air temperature because it's sitting on top of the ground. Anyway, sidebar. So anyway, yeah, it's working. So again, that's the small bubbles. And then the old airline right in front of it. That's the small bubbles from the modified sponge filter with an air stone. And then this one, that's the old line. And then here's the new one. Now I pulled the sponge filters need to clean because when I was connecting them up, I'm squeezing out handfuls of filter gravy in the tank. So, and that one sponge filter back here in this tank, it was so well rooted in with pothos and philodendron roots. I got to get in there with a pair of scissors, do a little pruning. And I stirred up enough muck that the little neon orange swordtail seemed to really having a ball back there. That's kind of cool. But anyway, got these all adjusted down to roughly the right flow. And I don't know if there's any here that aren't adjusted here These all seem to have been adapted with the Airstone. I do like that better. I know my buddy Jeff was concerned put too much back pressure on the pump. I don't think so, but you know, he's had his longer than I've had mine, so I don't think so though, regardless. And I think we're gonna give this a go. So there it lives up there on the shelf. There's the two redundant paw flies. Clean up all this mess. And I've got plenty of drops. I've got, what did I come up with? I think it was 72 drops I put in. And that'll give me just to do whatever I want. I've got a Lowell's Fish Lab fry tray that I use for, that's a little shrimp. I thought it might be a little fish. I keep swapping spawning mops in there. For, you know, when I've got fry or eggs to hatch, I'll put them in the Lowell's, and that requires an air drop. The two homemade do-it-myself brine shrimp hatcheries out of water bottles, tear the whole room apart. These things, made my own. So it just hangs up there, got air going in and a drain. And that's, I've got a video on how to do that. I think I might even have a couple on how to do that. So anyway, and if I remember, I'll put that one in the description. So anyway, that's it. Success. Jeff, thanks so much for the suggestion as far as doing this in the first place. And you inspired me with yours, and I'm super grateful. And I know a lot of people were talking about the Gemco pumps or the Aquarium Co-op pumps, and this one was a much more reasonable price. And I bought a repair kit to go with it, diaphragm repair kit to go with it. And somebody else suggested just buy another one, put it on the shelf. And that way, while you're repairing one, you can plug the other one in. And I guess that's probably not a bad idea. I think it was about 160 bucks. And some of these things, especially bigger, and you know, I've got a lot of drops, but you know, some people have even more, you know, can go up in the $300 and $400 range. So I thought this was more economical for me at this point. So anyway, members, thanks so much for your support. I can't tell you how grateful I am. Subscribers, likewise. And the rest of you, thanks for looking.